the first time you messaged me, it was with the Tamil food blog Instagram. So you're a mom, you're a blogger, you're a tell us about yourself, please.
Not much to say, really.
Did I say it all? No.
Yeah, that's about it.
So how does comedy and food and cooking come together?
So I teach cooking classes in Toronto. I teach individual classes, group sessions. I teach at Longo's. So it's just about basically spreading desi food to the wider Toronto population, really. And then I do stand-up. I'm not really sure how that... you spend a lifetime of having people laugh at you and you think, you know what, maybe I should do this for a living and just try it, see what happens. So that's how it's going, really.
So your Tamil background?
நான் தமிழ், ஆமா.
Vanakkam.
வணக்கம்.
எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சம் தெரியும்.
Very
Hey,
good, very
represent!
Very
Tamil
good.
people everywhere! This video is going viral. My wife is like, Jesus Christ, shut up. And then you got the English accent.
I do have an English accent. I'm from England.
So you're born in England,
I was born and raised in England, and I've been in Toronto for about 3 years now. Coming up to 3 years.
The England accent is just dope, man.
Really?
I have this Scarborough accent. Nobody cares. What's up? Nobody cares, but you got a dope accent.
Thank you.
And so comedy came before cooking. Is part of it the mix? How do the two come together? Or do they even have to? They don't have to.
Wow, they don't. They exist separately. I don't actually do this for a living. I'm a psychologist by trade, but I just
make some noise.
Fun. You've got to mix it up a little.
Listen, I told my parents I wanted to be a psychologist, and they're like, no.
Why not?
Engineer was my only option.
Doctor.
And it was a cruel joke because I was shitty in math. I'm like, why would you even say engineering or accounting? But I didn't even get the option to think about being a doctor. It was off the table from day one.
You can't do maths, you can't be a doctor.
Yeah, they're like, screw it. So somehow I made it into this world.
But did you say you were Tamil?
Yeah, it's Chennai. Born in Chennai.
But you can't do maths.
Yeah, weird, right? That's why we left. We left when I was 4. They're like, get this kid out of here.
You can't do maths, you have to leave the country.
Get out of here. Get him out. So I left. But anyhow, I want to give the stage to you.
Thank you.
Please make some noise for the very first time at Open Stage. Rajini, it's all you.
What's up, Toronto? It's great to be here. As I said, I'm from England. I've been here for 3 years, and it's great because, well, for a start, I have OHIP, which is really important. I also have insurance, which is also important. Now, I am very aware that in England, I wouldn't actually have needed either of these things, but then you guys have sunshine. So everything else is possible. I don't care. I get to enjoy the sun. The snow, yes, it does get to you, but that's okay too. My last month of the year has been quite dismal, really. I've had back-to-back funerals. Has anyone had back-to-back funerals? Got to a stage where I've never done this in my life, but I thought, oh no, I cannot wear this outfit again because they've already seen it. I've never actually had to be in that place in my life. And the two people, obviously, I've only been here for a very short time. I didn't really know them, but at one of the funerals, I was sat there in a corner crying, and they thought that it was my mum that died. And people were coming and giving me hugs and sort of consoling me. And I was just like, yes, I need this. I wasn't correcting them. I wasn't telling them that it wasn't me. I was just like, just give me all the love you can. So how it works is something Doug Ford. OHIP doesn't cover therapy. So then I thought, you know what? Let me just go to stand up where I can talk to people. They can't really talk back. You can heckle, but I'm practicing 2 really important things in life that are going to carry me through the next decade of my life. And those 2 things are shamelessness and living a guilt-free life. Now, I'm going to explain this a little bit more. So how you become shameless it goes like this. So when I first got married, I was like, this is what it's going to be. My marriage is going to be one of equality. My husband is never going to put me down, and I will never let him overrule me. So during our first argument, I was like, there's the couch. Go and sleep on it. I think someone's had practice. But, this is how it goes. This is how it went down in my house. See, I was born and raised in England, so I was like, there's the couch, go and sleep on it. My husband was born and raised in Malaysia. So he was like, huh? You want the couch? You go sleep on it. He wraps himself in his quilt. He's 200 pounds heavier than me and falls asleep. So I'm like, but that's not what happened in the movies. In the movies, the guy always takes the couch. I just didn't understand. Then I was like thinking, okay, there are some real cultural issues that I've got to hash through. I'm a third generation immigrant in England. So things have changed slightly. Like when I leave my house, my mum, like most parents, she'll say, what are you wearing? Why are you going out like that? How can you dress like that? How will I show my face in society? But she's actually talking about the saris that I wear. Because mum's like, if you wear a sari, I can't go out in my jeans and t-shirt. Mum grew up in England as well. So things have changed. There's a lot of a change. And then, you know, I love it in Toronto because in Toronto, my culture is really respected and people are like, oh, what a nice girl. She's preserving culture here. And then my mum's sitting at the back with a glass of wine going, yes, she preserves a culture. I'll wear the sari in my funeral. I'll wear it when I die. You know, when it comes to this, you parents, it's all about death. You go out, you will catch a cold, and then you will die. You go out at night, someone will mug you, and then you will die. Like, everything always ends in death. And it's just the way they talk. And I sort of like, okay. But you know what? It's guilt. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to guilt trip you. So I'm like, no, I am breaking free of this. So with my husband, I thought, you know what? I'm going to come up with the ultimate plan. I'm going to choose the weapon that I don't think the West has really found yet. And this weapon is called your mother-in-law. There is nothing more lethal than a mother-in-law, daughter-in-law combo. This is how it works. You all can take notes. So you go up. I call her Atte. Atte means mother-in-law. So I say, Atte, did your son not take you out to dinner last night? Do you know what I said to him? I said to him, I will not go on holiday unless you can come with us. After all you've done for him, after all the suffering, you brought him up as a single parent. Look how he repays you. And that's it. Game over. Man is wishing he took that couch because he comes home. There is nothing more satisfying than watching a grown man squirm in front of his mama. And I know there is a special place in hell for me. And no amount of therapy can probably sort me out. But it's cool. You know what? Shameless. And then you get the guilt. So last Friday, I spent the evening at A&E. Courtesy of a teenager that I have at home who's only 5 years old. She bumps her head, it cracks, it bleeds, and so my husband at 11 o'clock at night is like, we need to go take her to A&E. And I'm not going to joke, I'm not going to lie, like for a split second I was like thinking, what would it be like to live a childless life? But it was only for a split second. I got dressed and we were like, nope. Not doing it, took her there. The doctor's like, how did she split her head open? And I'm just like, well, it wasn't even split her head open. It was a small cut. And I said to him, she was playing, she was jumping up and down, she hit it on a shelf. And he was like, okay, how did she hit it on the shelf? And I start to sort of squirm. Because the truth is, we were having a pillow fight. I work with CAS here. I am not about to admit to your doctors that I was having a pillow fight with my child. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know, you know, she just hit it, but, and I'm so proud of myself, I said, but I put vinegar on it, and then I put an ice pack. And he looks at me, he says, you put what? And I said, I put vinegar on it. Like, that's what Mama told me to do. You know, you put vinegar on some when you bump your head. He runs out of the room to get disinfectant, gives me a huge lecture about not using home remedies. And I'm like, oh, you're one of those doctors, huh? You know, my Mama's a G. She knows what she's talking about. You can't tell me not to use no vinegar here. But anyway, we quickly rush out. And as we're leaving the room, this 5-year-old turns around to me and she goes, never, ever hit me again. And my heart just stops. I'm like, and then I did the only adult thing that I could think of, and I was like, yeah, but who started it? And then we just rushed out of there. She slept with me for the next two days. I've not actually overcome this whole guilt thing. I've not mastered it completely at all. And he got the couch. Viva la mother-in-law. So I guess what I'm trying to tell and share with all of you guys today is there are things like shame and guilt and grief that do get to us, and yeah, OHIP may not cover it, but there are people in Toronto who really do care. So if any of you, have any mental health issues, do not feel ashamed or do not feel afraid to go out and speak to someone, because people do care. Thank you very much. I've been Rajini Nathan, and you've been an awesome audience. Thank you.
Where do they find you?
Oh. You can find my cooking classes. It's Tamil_food. Or you can find me. That page is not really that interesting, but it's just my name. It's at Rajini Nathan on Instagram. Thank you, guys.